What's up, Uyghur Nation? Welcome back to another long-awaited episode. I'm your co-host, Zlala Mehmet.
And I'm your co-host, Nurbari Kelpin.
Today we are joined with Arafat, who we all know as a well-known Uyghur Vine star.
This is how Americans joke.
And then I pushed him off the chair. It's funny, man.
And this is how Uyghurs joke. Smack Cam Uyghur Vine Edition.
On the program today, you are going to hear
Smack him! Oy, kanarı!
Bakmazken ama karaya ama kiyimlerim Bak sen masken kanayım abi
Smack him!
This is how Uyghur parents react to report cards. Vay dada ben mektep başı ikinci oldum.
O neme deydim oy neme birinci oldum oy.
So, before we start, I want to mention that today's episode will be in majority Uyghur. So biz başlaştım burun amınlağa çay koyup birey. Bizden podcast'ın ismi chit chat'in çay boğanken amınlağa çaydan koyup birey. Özünüzü azıcık tanıştıram siz.
Buldu. Benim ismim Arafat alim. Ben 6 yaş vaqtimda Ürümçiden Yaponiya köçüp başlangıç üçüncü okugan. 12 yaş vaqtimda uydagilar bilan birga köçüp şu bir aldıda Kaliforniyada bir yildak turdik. Kaliforniyada Concord, Kaliforniyada. 2012 yılı ikkinchi ayda Virginia Fairfax köçüp bardik. Aniki Fairfaxdan Springfieldda to'liqsiz bilan to'liq o'tirib maktabni o'sha bitirdim. Aniki 2017 yılda oliy maktabni o'sha Virginia Richmondda o'qidim. Virginia Commonwealth University'da. Amerika'da uzun yıl bo'libdi. 22 yilda ko'p qolibdi. Men o'zim shu Virginiadagi jamoatga bolalar bilan birga cho'ng bo'lgan, birga to'p o'ynab, birga faoliyat qilib, yoshlarning faoliyatini birga o'tkazib. Hozir mana to'y qilgani 6 yil bo'ldi. 2 bolam bor, 2 qizim bor. Cho'ngning ismi Alanur, 3 yoshda. Kichigi Aylin, 1 yoshda.
Şu İBM dep ötkendek siz Uyghur Vines'ini başlayan mühim adamның birisi. Şu aşağıda qandaq qılıp başlanğan bir iş aş doğruluk soraylı dep oylaşqandı.
Buldu. Onu 2013 bizning yaqin qarindishimiz Shirali Ada yana bir necha bolalar bordi. Shu vaqtida birga boshlagandik. U vaqtida boshlash sababi 2013-2014larda har xil o'xshamaydigan Wine'da bir app bordi. O'xshash social media TikTok deganda. Shu uningda masalan har xil millatning o'xshamaydigan masalan Pokistonning bo'landi. Masalan, o'sha yaponliklarning, ispaniyaliklarning har xil o'xshamaydigan millatlarning bir ayrim bir qisqa shu komediya bir filmlar bordi. Lekin o'ylab boqsaq, hamma millatniki bor ekan, lekin bizni u platform bo'lmagan ekan. Amsa biz shu o'zimizning shu Uyg'ur patsida o'zimizning kulturni tushuntirish o'xshamaydigan shakldan bir boshlab boqaylik. Shu vaqtida bir 3-4 boshlagandik shu 2013-yilda.
Mening esimda baş kichik vaqtimda sizning Uyghur Vine'laringizni ko'rib cho'ng bo'lgan. Doğrab videolarni yasab ishimiz. Külüşüp, biz o Virginia'da yaşamaydık şu vaqtlarda, lekin sizning videolaringizni ko'rib cho'ng bo'lgan.
Hamda men rost gap qilsam, men u Uyg'ur Vine'da tuzuk boshda sinab boqdim. O'zim ichidagi bir artistning birisi bo'lib, lekin men uni qamlashtirolmagan ekan, bizning yaqin do'stimiz Shirali Ada yana Arafat yana bir bolalar bordi, boshqa birga qatnashib bergan. Shular qizitib, shular bakrak ilg'im materiallarni keltirib qilib bergandiki, shu men beshida ozroq qisqa intro deganda ozroq tushuntirishni berdim. Lekin asosiyatda qolgan bolalar the acting and the everything was all done by them.
Shular bilan hozirgacha gap qilishib turamsiz?
Albatta, ular bilan har yili to'p tepamiz. Chunki Ular bilan masalan bir qism bolalar shu man 2002 Virginiyaga kelgandan boshlab masalan shu birga to'p tepib, birga faoliyat qilib, mana shu tog' chiqqanda birga o'ynab degandek keldikda. Shunga hozirgacha masalan har yoz shu yo 7-chi oyda yo 9-chi oyda mana bu futbol musobaqa qatnashib qilayotgan ekan. Uyg'ur Amerikan loqisi. Shunga u bolalarni shu faoliyatda bor. Masalan, ularning bolaları mening bolalarım bilan yosh farqi cho'ng emas. Yaqin bo'lgandan keyin faoliyatlarga borsak, masalan, oylig'i Uyg'ur markazida faoliyatlar bo'lsa, shu yerda ko'rishimiz. Bolalarimiz shu yerda birga o'ynaydi degandek. Shunga hozirgacha shu 15-20 yillik do'stlik munosabatimiz hozirgacha yana mavjud.
Uyghur dostxonamiz açtağım. Yılıqı, burun
Şu.
tanışqandan keyin uzun yıl dost bo'lib o'tdi şu. Shunda qilib
Doğru.
top qandaq boshlangan. Biz har yili borimiz odatda uyda bo'lsaq ham borimiz, lekin yılıqı qandaq qilib boshlangan, ondan keyin har bir yil ishtatninki bir top komandasi bor. Shunda qilib qandaq bir yerga ekelgan
Doğru.
top madamni.
Okay. How about I'll just touch quickly on the model from 2005 and then going on to 2015. 2005 yılı şu Virginia'daki bir 10 neçedek balla battı. Şular bilen şu Uyghur balla bilen şu Uyghur American. Ya Uyghur American değil mi? Uyghur United FC, Uyghur Birlik komandası kurulgan. We wanted to really focus our energy and effort into developing the Uyghur soccer community here in the US. Şunun için şu 2015 bizden şu vaxtdaki kapitan adı Dilshad, as you guys may or may not know. And he had this idea that we wanted to have this annual event in the US. Back then we were a couple teams, and then each year it got more and more fun and more connected. And one of the beauty of the Uyghur soccer is that whatever your background is, whatever your political spectrum is, soccer is the one thing that brings all of us together in one place, you know? And this is the one beauty of the tournament and the event that we hosted annually. And then now it's been 2015 başlayan bolsak, I think we're gonna have our 7th or the 8th Uyghur American Cup this August, and it's gonna be in Leesburg, Virginia. And bu yıl, I think we're gonna have close to 9 mu 10 dek komandani yığıp dizmekçi. Xudoyim buyursa.
Bizim Xudoyim buyursa bizim barimiz.
Rahmat.
Agar da uyda bo'lsak, maktabga ketmay qolsak.
Şu. Sen oylağı əpsiz bo'lib qoldi, chunki asli biz shu sizlarning oliy maktab ketishdan oldida 8-ci ayning 5-i ya bo'lmasa 7-ci ay degandek arzuyimiz bordi faoliyatni shu vaqtida o'rinlashtirganlar. Bo'lmasa mana hozir 3-ci ay bu, lekin buni degan biz 12-ci ay 1-ci ayda boshlagan shu maydon izlash ishlarni. Lekin shu to'g'ri kap ne qilib bo'lolmaydi, shunga sal afsus bo'lib qoldi.
Ondan İBM siz deb o'tgandek yilqi xil yosh vaqtingizda kelib ekansiz Amerikaga. Ondan keyin mushta yoshlar bilan faoliyat qilib, top o'ynab, Uyg'ur vaynini boshlab degandek. Shunga sizlarningki yosh vaqtinglar bilan bizning hozirgi yoshlarda qanday farqlarni ko'rasiz?
Endi hozirgi yoshlarning masalan turmushi, hayoti endi to'liq uqmadim, chunki men hozir qerib qoldim. Hozir 34 yoshda. Lekin endi bizning vaqtimizdagi shu qancha yil bo'lib ketdi, 15 yilni oldidagi yoshlarning turmushi sal o'xshamaydi. Chunki sababi u vaqtida yoshlarning soni ozdi. Masalan, o'g'illar, qizlarni qo'shib kelganda balkim 20-30 dak bolalar bordi. Ondan keyin sal ko'payib maqdi. Hamda hozir uqmadim hamda u vaqtida how do we say? It was easier to get things going back then because of the less population.
Shu ashtadek turdi. Hozir 100 odam, 100 yoshlarni bir yerga aytilish mumkin emas. Bir neçe haftanın aldıda bizningki muş podcastni kördigan bir Akash deyli emdi. Biz endi menden so'ragan podcast to'g'ri azaq paranglashib, andan keyin degandi Uyg'ur o'g'il bolalar bilan qizlar qandoq tonish to'g'riliqchi. Shunga masalan, sizlarning endi yoshroq vaqtlaringlarda u qanday deb ashni so'ramoqchidik. Andan keyin what's your advice for yoshlar now? Endi Uyg'urlar bilan Uyg'urlarningki tonish hozir burunga qaraganda tezroq deb o'ylayman, jiqroq bo'lgani bilan bize aziyip qaldı deb o'ylayman. Şuna aç to'g'riliq azroq so'zlab o'tsangiz.
I don't know how it is now, but back then I thought it was a lot easier. But what's interesting is that with, for example, you guys are in DMV community, correct? DC, Maryland, and Virginia community. From our group of friends, there were not that many people who actually ended up together from the community. It was, at least from speaking from my experience and my group of friends, it was that they would find their significant other or spouses from Europe or coming from a different country, different state, or California, and so that was kind of like the interesting observation that I took. That you would think that growing up together for 15, 20 years, that a lot of the guys and girls in the DMV community will eventually end up together. But it was actually the other way, where individuals will find partners in out of state or out of country per se.
You mentioned that you guys had a lot of like events where it was just the youth, atanla yok, chongla yok, right?
Yeah.
But mana biz mush United Uyghur Youth deb yoshlarning tashkilotini qurdik. Bir yildek bo'lib qoldi. But it's been very hard for us to kind of organize these events because jiq Uyghur bolalar bo'lgan bilan bir yerga yig'moq bek tas, ulan bir yerga ekanmak bek tas, tomoqni bikoliq tomoqni kelib bersakmi, naqshlarni qo'yib stollarni tizib qilib bersakmi, ular kelmaydi.
We've tried everything. We've literally tried everything. We've ilqi mundaq party degmi qilib baqdiq, andan keyin mundaq ilqi piknik degmi qilib baqdiq. Lekin har qatim bir narsa qilsaq, bir ish qilsaq, ilqi keldi bolalar, lekin ilqi 10 dek bolalar ham keldi o'tgan ilqi biz yoshlar partini qilgan vaqtda. Bundaq yoshlar bir-birisi bilan tanishsin, mundaq qilsin, andaq qilsin deb qilaylik desak, har qatim ashta bo'ldi. Andan lekin sizning degan gapingizga qo'shilaman. Odatda shu ko'pincha vaqtda bir qiz bola bilan o'g'il bola yeganda, ashtaq boshqa shtatdiki yo boshqa bir davlatdiki birisi bilan bo'lib qoldi ekan. Shunga biz asl o'ylashgan turmush top musobiq vaqtda hamma yerdan bolalar keldigandan keyin bir yoshlar parti qilaylik deb o'ylagandik, lekin shu afsus bizning qarag'andim maktabdagi vaqtimizda bo'lib qoldigandek turdi. Lekin endi xudoyim buyursa keyin yana mushta fursatlar bo'lsa, boshqa yerlarda biraqlamay yig'ib.
Bazen bizden yeni bir planımız var bu 8. ayda Uyghur Amerikan Longus faaliyet ötküzümüz bu. Şunun birinci günü içiliş murasında, the opening ceremony. Our plan was to, or our plan is to invite all the everybody, but more targeting on the yashla. You know, we wanted to make actually like a formal event, not just where we could show up in our soccer uniform. And we're planning to do that on the first day so that individuals can get to know one another. And in this topic that we're discussing, the guys and girls can actually get to know each other on day one. And so that way they have an opportunity for a week to get to know one another. So that was one of the events or the ceremony that we're still planning to have.
Undan başka, do you have any advice for us? You know, biz hem de yeni başladık bu organization'ımızı, teşkilatımızı. So, aşkın toğruluk, do you have any advice for us? We're just starting off now.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like I said, 10, 15 years ago, it was easier because there was less of us. Qandaymiz qancha oz bo'lsa, qadrdamdoq the appreciation that you have for these organization, the events that you do, people will show up more. And that's where we kind of had the advantage. But now that our numbers are in hundreds and thousands, it's becoming more difficult to bring people together. But I think that we just have to have that to find that a common ground that where we can all share something we can be passionate about to bring the individuals together. I think it's doable. And then I think what's important is that it's the leadership. Back when I was younger, aşı 10 yıl 15 yıl aldıda bizning aramızda bir 4-5 adamlar bor edi, and these were individuals who pushed each other, who really were passionate about bringing people together. And we had them both in Uyghur guys as well as Uyghur girls. Aşağıda bir 4-5 adamlar bolsa, the people who can push each other, people who are passionate about bringing the individuals together. We had that 10-15 years ago, right? The mistake that we made is not training the next generation, the next age group to follow those directions or follow the system. And then if we were able to do that back then, I think it would have just continued. Meaning, everything that we did, we would have continued it. So the mistake that we made is that we kind of relied on those 4 or 5 individuals to always be in a leadership, always be in charge of these events. And again, as the time moves on and as we all grow and mature, and then our life moves on, individuals are gonna becoming more busy, whether it's academics or family life, personal life, and then we kind of move on, and then the next generation, they kind of have to start from scratch in a way, kind of like how you guys are doing. I do believe that there's a little bit of a gap, that where it should have been continuous.
Vatanning ishlarim bo'lib atgan ekan, jiq Uyg'ur bolalar, mishad Uyg'ur yoshlarmi vatandagi o'zining oilalari bilan gap qilisholmay, Uyg'urchani so'zlayolmay, shu connection with their culture bir xil yo'qolib ketadi-ku. Shunga shu sabablardanmi shundaq haqlarni, bolalarni bir yerga aklash tasbih qilarmiki deb ashta qo'yildik qo'yamdi.
I think the important thing is that creating that environment where people can be comfortable and coming from different background. When I remember when I first came to the US in 2002, as I mentioned earlier, u vaqtda men rost gap qilsam Uyg'urcham rasmiy nolda. Chunki men kichik vaqtimda boshlang'ichni yaponda o'qigan. Unda bo'lgan ekan, mening tilim shu asosiyatda uydagilar bilan, ukam bilan yapon so'z aytdim. Ondan keyin Amerikaga kelgandan keyin after the 1 year in California, ondan keyin men Virginia ko'chib bordim-ku. Shu 2002dan keyin shu Uyg'ur so'z aytgan bolalar bilan birga aralashib, o'ynab, and then what they did was to create that environment where I can learn and pick up, and where I didn't have to feel awkward or be like, oh, you know what, I may not fit in with these guys, but they made me comfortable. To be honest, I think my Uyghurcha got better after 18, 19, when I started to hang out and then communicate with individuals who are more primary Uyghur speakers. Me paying attention to their conversation, how they say things, how they communicate, and it kind of helped me to even get closer with individuals who are more Uyghur primary speakers. I think for this next generation, at least speaking from my generation of guys and girls who are now married, as we're getting older, I think it's important that we really focus on our kids who are now born and raised here. Amerika'da tug'ilib cho'ng bo'lgan bolalarni hamda til kelganda, I think we need to be really proactive about that, because if I am able to provide the language environment and teach them, and my friends also do the same, and then we all kind of take that responsibility as for the family. When they get to your age, they'll be speaking just as good as you guys, and then they won't feel that the awkward separation or that so that's where I feel like we really need to focus our energy so that when they get to your age, they'll be comfortable, and then they'll continue this tradition, continue to have this Uyghur Yaşlar events, Uyghur Yaşlar Paliyat the Andek.
Lekin yaxşı yeri İBM yılıqı siz özünüzün dostlarının balları bar dediniz-go. Yaxşı yeri bular kichigiden yılıqı birga oynap çoğ bolgandan keyin hamdi. Uyg'urchani çoqum ögündü, lekin bir-birisiga vaqt bo'ldi deb o'ylayman. Mesela mening kichigimdan tartib yılıqı birga oynap çoğ bolgan dostlarım ba'zilari Uyg'urchani yaxshi so'zlayolmaydi, ba'zilari ozroq so'zlayolmaydi, lekin hammamiz yana shundan chiqishib o'tib, yılıqı nima qilamiz shuni yaxshi shu deb o'ylayman demaydi.
Çünkü o degan bir bağlanış bir fursat. It's the bonding. Because you guys were able to establish that from a young age, and that will carry on for many, many years to come. So that's a beautiful thing.
Yani Nurperi ikimiz kichik vaqtimizdan tatib o'ynaydik. Hozirmi do'st?
Shu. Bek hoş buldum.
Urushib qo'ydik, lekin durchu.
Ya rasmiy manmi sizlarga hali uzun bo'ldi-ku, qancha yil bo'ldi endi Amerikada yashayotganda sizlarga?
Men Amerikada tug'ilgan.
Men 2
Okay, siz misha tug'ilgan.
Men 2 yosh vaqtimda
Okay, shu demakchi sizlar shu Amerikada tug'ilib, anikin siz anikin 2 yosh vaqtingizda kelib, mushunchalik Uyg'ur so'zlayolmaydigan gap, it's a huge accomplishment. Because to be honest, if the two girls can speak as good as you guys when they get to, I think you guys are in the 19-20 range, I'll be proud and happy, and I think that's an amazing success to have the language skills. So I'm proud of you both.
Thank you.
Özünüzün soruları barmı soraydıgan?
Is there anything you wanted to cover, like any other topics?
Let me see. Another thing that I wanted to cover. It's okay. Remember we kind of touched on the language a little bit earlier. What are things that you guys are passionate about, things or you guys are excited about trying to maintain the language identity?
Sizin sualınız, like the reason why we want to why we're passionate about keeping?
No. What are some ways that you guys are trying to keep this alive? The drive for to maintain our identity, maintain our language specifically. Çünkü one thing that I noticed is that ben sizler bilen yaşanlardan çok farkı yok. 19-20 yaşdaki ballar bilen söhbetleşip we had this discussion specifically about this topic. Ular bazıları ancha Uyg'urcha yaxshi emas, bazıları xili yaxshi so'zlaydigan ballar bor. The ones whose language skills is on a little bit on the weaker side is some of them, they really do regret not being more proactive when they were younger, or asking their parents like, man, I wish my parents really took time to teach the native language of the Uyghur to me more when I was younger. And then when I asked the same question to the parents, because a lot of the parents and they struggled with the English language when they came to the US and having to learn a new language and a new environment, they didn't want the same challenges to for their kids to go through. So that's why they kind of prioritize making sure that the kids were really proficient and succeeded in the English language, making sure that school and education always came first, which is, an important thing. At the same time, the teaching our native tongue kind of became a secondary, if not tertiary importance in our kids' education.
Ben manda o'ylayman. To'g'ri, yiliqi bolalarning maktabi bak muhim, ingliz tili bak muhim biz Amerikada yashaydigandan keyin. Lekin u inglizchani maktabda o'rganib ketadi, yaslida o'rganib ketadi. Bir bal tug'ilib, yasliga kirgicha xilijiq vaqt bor. Shunga endi mening opamning qilgani endi tug'ilgan vaqtidan tartib yasliga kirgicha Uyg'urcha narsalarni. Masalan, hozir otamlar Cocomelon, ashlar narsalarni qo'yib berdi-ku. Ondan qo'yib bergandan mundaq Uyg'urcha kichik bolalarga yasagan shunday jiqniliq kinolar bor, YouTube'da videolar bor. Masalan, ashni ko'rsatsa bo'ldi, andan keyin Uyg'urcha gaplarni o'rgatsa bo'ldi. Apa, dada degan gapni ham o'rgatmay, boshqa gaplarni ham o'rgatsa bo'ldi. Andan keyin bolalar yasliga kirgandan keyin kichik bolalar hamma narsani bak oson o'rganib ketadi deb o'ylayman. You know how they say like kids like brains are like a blank canvas or something like that? Like it's really easy for them to learn things.
I agree.
Shunga yiliqi Yasliga kirdi, anan yasliga kirgan biti aş bir ömür English sözleydi. Like maktabda bulamdı, xizmatga chiqqandan keyin bulamdı. Şoňa meningçe emdi like kiçigiden aş tugulgan wagtyny tartyplam ögütiş kerek dep oylayman şu. I think parenting is extremely important, especially now. Like if Uyghurs are gonna have kids and they want to preserve their identity, then like they have to. It's too late. Like bir balı bir yaşqa kirkep qalgandan keyin bunda qısam boptike, anda qısam boptike dese, then it's not gonna do much. So I think like aş boğaq wagtydan tatyp, ügütüp qısa, hem işlerini yaxşı maňdy dep oylayman. Like mektepke kirgenden keyin anda buldu. Meningçe umuyum. Like it's not a valid reasons to worry about in my opinion.
No. So somebody who is now like, starting off to college, 18, 19, and then they didn't really get a chance to practice the native tongue. How would they now the steps to kind of like to get in touch with you guys and then to have the opportunity to be in that environment? Is there things like that for in your generation to aslında fırsatçıyla aslında meşgul kılmagan bulamdı.
Hem biz ata-ana bolmagandan keyin biz bütün hemme narsani bilip bulamaymiz hazır. Lekin bizde yaşqa kirgen balla Uyghur mektep bar. Mush Virginia, we are very grateful to have an entire Uyghur center dedicated every single Sunday to teaching Uyghur kids the Uyghur language. Bir wagtlarda bizdek ballarımı dersler bardy. So going to those classes and participating, if you are putting in an effort, then there will be a result. It also comes down to the person itself. Like 18 yaş kirip qalgan ballarımı ügünäleydi. Ügünümen dep başdaq töp qoşup qıysa, ügünüp kitäleydi. I think it also comes down to yourself and whether you are willing to put in the effort to learn your mother language. We always host events. Last summer, we hosted a college talk before Nurberi and I both left for college. Ashtaq yaş ballaga, mektep like iltimas qılatgan ballaga, bizim advice bireyli dep Uyghur Center'da biz bir presentation qıldık. Çık ballar kemmedi, lekin kelgen ballar şunçalik paýlanýyp, ashtaq this is such a good event that ketçü. So it really comes down to you taking advantage of the opportunities presented to you. Which DMV area şunçalik Uygurlar bar. There's always opportunities for you if you are seeking them out. Uyghur American Association şunçalik eventlarni qıldı, protestlarni qıldı, Uyghur mektep bar. Biz muş yaşlar teşkilatyny qurdyk. Biz maşdaq işlarni qıp duratmyz, muş podcastni başladyk. So I feel like, in my opinion, we are trying. Betty and I have both grown up.
No, absolutely.
So I really believe that sometimes, at least a part of it comes down to the individual trying themselves and taking advantage and maximizing the opportunities presented to them by their community, by their friends, by their parents, no matter where they are in life.
And then Virginia'da yok, ilk tumaydigan birisi bolup qalsa, başqa ştatda turdigan birisi bolsa, mesela Uyghur mektep yok deylik. Bizning bir dostumuz ilk güni izlala işimizge dep berdi. Kon ýyzykyny qançalyk wagt öýgendim dedi. Bir hafta iş qılıp bir haftanyň içinde ügünüp bopdu. Bu dostumuz Amerikada çoň bolgan birisi. Mesela yıllık YouTube'ga çıksı buldu, ilipler bar Google'da. Mesela aşağıdan başlap, öyde oturup vakti çıkkandı, ögensi buldu. Andın ki, mesela jıqraq Uygurlar bilen körüşüp, Uygur sözleyeleydiganlar bilen paranlaşıp kısa, şurada paytıs badap oylayma. Andın ki, I watch K-dramas, right? Şunu ben hazır Koreyaçını anladım, düşünüme. Şunu bunda çıkıp Uygurca kinolarını köz buldu, idotlarını köz buldu. Aşını körüyversim, şundagan bolup kaldı. Andın ki, başkalar bilen körüş paranlaşkanı məşqisi yaxşı buldu dep oylayma. Andın zilala İBM dep ötkendek, bizmiş Uyghur United deyim la. United Uyghur Youth. United Uyghur Youth, not Uyghur United. United Uyghur Youth. Jıq paliyetlerini qıptırımız qıgan. Ondan keyin Instagram'ımız var, emailimiz var. Qandaq waqtda, if they're lost, they can just shoot us a DM. They can send us an email. Zilala and I are more than happy to respond. Nenangçe jıq fırsatlar bar dep oylayma. Ilıq 40 neçe yaşta kirip qalgan birisi bolsun ügünäleydi dep oylayma.
Bir waqtlarda mektepde there was like a 40-year-old man. Bir Amerikalık bir adam, ayağısı Uyghur. Aş bizning Uyghur mektebimiz kilip, dersler kırıp, aş Uyghur için ügengini tuttu. His name was Aaron, I think. It was
I
so
remember Aaron,
inspiring.
yeah.
So inspiring. Muşu 40 yaş kirib qalğan adam Uygurmu emas üzi. Aş mektep kep. Her yaksam gün aş Uygur mektep kep aş dersler qatnaşıp başlap qıldı. Hamda
İşki
bu
hizmeti var
aş 40 yaş kirib qalğan adam qılalısı biz qılanmamdı.
En pahalısı ba, ayalı ba, öyü ba, işki hizmeti ba o da. George Mason'da ders tutudu. Bilişimçe yeni bir hizmetimi ba. Aşta durup her yakşam bir günü bir tal dersimi qanmaydı da. Andan hazır xili yaxşı. Polom
That's
italiydi.
incredible.
Bir qıtım öyge bağatı polo itbedi.
Yeah, and you guys are absolutely right on that. If you have that desire and you want to push yourself, and then at the end, it's you yourself who have to be like, hey, I want to be serious about it and I want to do it. And I think the opportunity and environment is definitely there. Mesela, like even for me, we were talking about Konizip. You know, when I learned how to read and write in Konizip at age 30, and then the reason I learned it, and it took me a week and a half, 2 weeks actually, it's same time frame, is that before when my wife was pregnant and I told myself that I was going to teach my future kids our native language. And I was like, well, if I want to do that, then I have to be able to read and write as well. So that's when I had the desire and I pushed myself to do it. And it took about up to 2 weeks.
I mean, it is a little different for us. We both have our parents in America, you know.
Yeah,
Dadamız var, atanımız var. Şuna, the Kelly said that bizning balımız болып qalsa, we have that environment that maybe our parents were not able to have, where they don't have
that's true.
grandparents for their kids. But we have that environment. So Kelgüsdə yaxşı болып kitə Uyğurlarның işləri mi?
Adam birisi. Yeah, and I think so. As the first generations of Uyghurs from 20, 30 years ago, I think the living standard has definitely increased in many folds in this past couple years. And as we are able to do that, and then that means that we're also able to spend more time with our family, more time with our loved ones, our close friends, and then we can have this create this more environment and opportunity rather than having to focus on, I got to do my work, I got to do this and that, you know. So I'm very hopeful for the future generation, for you guys to continue, because I kind of became a little bit more disconnected after I started my master's program in 2015, because I had to focus on my school and later after that marriage. And then I was really hoping that the next generation, you know, which is you guys, to carry that fortune and to continue to have these events, have these organizations. And you guys are doing that, you know. That's why when you guys created this organization and then when you guys are promoting, and I was really happy to see that there is that presence and then there's that desire to maintain that with our oil, the cultural identity, the language identity, our national identity. So big props to you guys.
I think that's a good note to wrap up on. It's very good advice to everybody. It's a happy note. But thank you so much. It was such an honor to meet you, to talk to you. Like I said before, you know, I really did grow up watching your videos.
No, and I appreciate it.
Who didn't? Who didn't?
Yeah, sometimes we still watch them. There is like an Instagram page called Uyghur Vines that like kind of posts your old videos. And it's funny to look
I
back.
was sending them to Zalala like 2 weeks ago or a week ago. I came across it again. I kept sending her all the funny ones and I was like laughing so much.
I mean, to be honest, that was probably one of my like the favorite times in my life growing up here in the Virginia area, because it really got an opportunity for us to kind of showcase our culture, our customs to the rest of the world, and at the same time it connected Uyghur all different age group, from as young as you guys were 10 years ago, and then I would have audience group in the 50s and 60s, you know, our older populations watching this video, and then we would have like audience from Central Asia, Japan, Australia, all over the world, and even even like in back home, like when Instagram was still open and it was available, we had fans that would be submitting videos from Urumqi, Karmay, Kashgar, Atosh, just all over the place. And then it was very disappointing when the China kind of shut Instagram out, and then we kind of had lost that small window of I guess a small bridge that we had, you know. But even then, we still had fans and audiences from different parts of the world, especially in Central Asia and Turkey. And then I remember in 2014 when we went for the soccer tournament in Kayseri, like Shirali, Ada, and I, and we felt like, you know, we got to live that 15 second of the fame. It was fun, you know, it was exciting. People wanted to take pictures with us. And that's just something that I've never experienced before that, you know. It was just a bit weird, but at the same time exciting. So I'm glad that we were able to maintain that page, because initially we were thinking about just getting rid of it, and then what's done is done. But I'm so glad that every single videos that we posted, they're on that Instagram page of the Uyghur Wine, and then I want to continue to watch them as I'm getting older and into my hopefully 60s and 70s, and I want to go back and like, hey, look what we used to make. And then, like I said, big props to my friends that I grew up with who really made the content, how funny it was, how relatable it was. Because this is before the TikTok and before the other Instagram stories that came. So this is like at the very early age of the social media, at least relatively.
Yeah. Yeah, we just wanted to say you were such a celebrity in our lives. So thank you for coming on. But I think that is a wrap. Thank you guys for watching and tuning in, and we will see you guys next time.
Thank you. It was an honor, and best of wishes to you guys and to the organization United Uyghur.
Thank
United
you.
Uyghur Union.
United Uyghur
Youth,
Youth,
that's it.
not Uyghur United.
United Uyghur Youth. That's right.
Yes.
All right. Thank you
So,
so
best of
much.
luck.
Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Take care. Bye bye.